The content discussed is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be taken as professional advice. These are professional retards, not psychiatrists for your fucked up sensibility or mental illness. Please consult a qualified expert for any specific concerns or questions. Thank you for listening, and if you are one of my precious little snowflakes, go get some minty chip and some of that good-smelling kids' shampoo. We aren't wanted here with these men.
Hello, everybody. How the hell are you doing? This is a Real Men Talk Shit. I gotta click go live on this one, too. Holy fucking hell. Way too many fucking things I gotta click. It's been way too fucking long. It's been a week for me to come back. I've been working so fucking much. Like 15-hour days. It's been a blast. I completely forgot to get a guest. So I was like, Dan, I haven't had Dan in a fucking long time. And I know most of you guys that are going to tune in haven't seen him either recently or anything other than shorts. So I figured Dan would be an interesting get to have come on. We also have a new background. I have a new logo to put up on YouTube and everything else. So it's a fun time. Dan, how the hell have you been?
Been okay. Since the last time we talked, I moved from Delaware out to Arizona, southern Arizona. I'm about 12 miles north of the Mexican border. It's not like it is on TV where people are just running around trying to get in here. They're not. They get usually smuggled in by cars, but they always get caught because the coyotes call the police and let them know that someone's coming so they don't have to pay them. So, yeah, it's pretty cool over here. Like I said, it's been 100 plus here for the last 6 weeks. No humidity and hot, but it's beautiful here, and I'd rather be here than out there. So
I bet.
no hustle and bustle here. Traffic here is 3 cars in front of you. Big deal.
Yeah, who gives a hell at that point? Like, what
Nobody
the fuck?
does.
No. So little people would be fucking nice.
Yeah,
Living
44,000 compared to 100,000 in just my town.
Well, my town's even smaller than that, but like, fuck. My actual town's like 1,000 max.
How big is your town? How many square miles is it?
It's a mountaintop, so literally it's much smaller than what you would assume. But like my hometown is like 15 miles or so worth of a circle. And that's 20,000 or 15,000.
This town's like a 4-mile square. That part. There is a army base here right next to us that everybody you can see. I mean, I'm 2 streets away from it.
Yeah.
It's called Fort Huachuca. It's the largest intelligence base in the United States, and they have mountains that they own on their on the base. It's so big. So.
Well, they got to own all of the mountains and everything, so that way they can keep out the psychic medium from reading what the hell they're doing.
Well, not really, because Fort Huachuca is known for back in the 60s and 70s doing experiments on psychic mediums as well as doing remote viewing.
It sounds like you might be in the wrong place then.
Spirit told me to come out here. I didn't know I was coming next to that.
So why don't we start off in the easy way?
Sure.
So what is a psychic medium? Since it's been such a long time since you've been on, there's probably hundreds or thousands of viewers that are brand new to you as a guest.
Unfortunately they mix the two. There's actually a difference. You're either a medium or a psychic, or some people call themselves psychic mediums. Psychics are people who are connected to the living, where mediums are connected to those who have passed. But all mediums have psychic abilities, but psychics don't have mediumship abilities.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't.
So are you able?
Anyone who says I'm a psychic and a medium, they're pretty much kind of just full of themselves. That's all.
Yeah, they're jerking off both sides. You're only able to jerk off one.
Absolutely, yeah. Their hands are full.
So when you're saying that you're a medium, what does that genuinely mean to, like, you as a lifestyle, you as a person? Like, what are you able to do that most people are not, and where is there a difference?
I don't ever not see dead people. Never. It never turns off. It never goes away. No matter if I have my eyes open or closed, I see them. Now I see them with my eyes open, and I may see a set of eyes or a little bit of a face, And I see them everywhere. If I look at one wall or one TV or one desk, or if I'm in the morning taking a piss looking into the toilet, I see a face in the toilet as I'm pissing. So I see them everywhere. But in the darkness, then I see a whole heck of a lot more. In the light, I see one here, one there. In the darkness, I see thousands.
Yeah.
But
So-
yeah, even if I'm walking around in Walmart, I see them walking around in Walmart. So
Does it change depending on where you are? Like if you're closer to a cemetery or a hospital or a crematorium, is there like an increase? Like
no, there's no increase because spirit is everywhere. Because some of them are staying more in like certain homes or certain areas, or sometimes they're just in an area and then you build a brand new home on top of it, and then there they are. But they are everywhere, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. You wake up in the morning, you do your daily routine, you shit, shower, and shave, you get ready for work, you go to work, you do your job. Maybe you don't do your job because you're a lazy piece of shit. You come home, you watch some TV, eat some dinner, you go to sleep, and you wake up and do it all over again. And they're around you 24/7. They don't take bathroom breaks. They don't go, oh, he's going to the bathroom, let me step into another room. They don't do that because they don't give a shit about what you do, because they don't have to do it anymore. Pretty simple.
Yeah, no, I just, it's really rather interesting because of everybody, the way that they look at spirits or ghosts or stuff like that. They kind of just think that it cycles around, not where they died, but where their body was laid to rest. And
correct.
Where
it has
that
nothing to do with what death to them is. This ready, done, and that's it. And they don't care about their body at that point. They don't care about their death at any point. They're not honing in on the ones who have crossed over don't give a shit about nothing. It's the one who stay here that are still like concerned about, oh, somebody killed me or something like that. But you're gone. You've been gone for 50 years. So what? Yeah.
Nobody.
A lot of them don't even know they died, because they when you die, you wake up out of your body, you still feel like yourself because you are yourself. That's all. You're just different now. You understand it. They understand it.
Yeah, it's just a very, very interesting thing. I think a lot of people kind of don't fully understand it, whether they grasp the idea or not.
Do you know why?
I think it's rather hard to grasp. Like
it's hard to grasp because TV and movies want you to believe in all this other bullshit when it's not. They just want you to believe that so that you'll have fear inside of your heart, so you won't believe it.
Well, not
so
only
you will
is
be
it
scared of it.
Not only is it easy to just throw fear into the situation, but I think a lot of it is you want to be worth more than just goo at the end of the day.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be ectoplasm at the end, and that's a whole bunch of other bullshit too. There's a lot of stuff that's in this. Unfortunately, I call it a business. I don't like to call it that, but it is that. But there's a lot of stuff that's just not real. Like people want you to. They want to sell you a big bundle of sage, and they say, okay, if you burn this and walk around your house, you're going to make all the evil energies go away. Well, that's not the truth. It's not the truth, because if it were, I mean, they are walking around in a different realm. They don't have a body anymore. They don't have lungs. They can't smell.
Why would they give
breathe.
a fuck what the hell you're doing regardless?
Right. So at that point, the only thing you're doing is setting off your fire alarms. That's all you're doing. Now, if you're putting good intentions out there and telling them, I don't want you to be here, this is a house of love, and this is a house of honesty and integrity. And when you say those things, it's like two magnets. They can't hold the same space. So that other one, that negative one, doesn't want to be around that. They want you to walk around and be a piece of shit because they feed off of your negative energy. If you're not going to walk around being a piece of shit, they'll go somewhere else and find some other piece of shit, because that's what they do.
Absolutely. It's really, really interesting when you look at those things, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, if you put good into the world, there's no guarantee that it'll come back. But I don't know. It seems like the more good that you put into the situation, the more or less positive things that you put out, the more that it will come back. It's almost like it's guaranteed now. And it's weird because for the longest time, I thought it was like you're predetermined to kind of just be stuck with what you're given.
No.
And there is so much more free will to life than what I fully imagine. Like, I imagined, I could sit here and play video games. I could do whatever the fuck I want. And there's no real impact.
Correct. People, God doesn't judge us and God doesn't punish us. We punish ourselves. We judge ourselves. I mean, he doesn't need to judge us. We judge ourselves 1,000 times a day. Why does he need to do it once more? He doesn't. So, but we are the ones who do these things to ourselves. If you want to walk around this world going, fuck the world and I hate people and all that stuff, great. You'll just keep coming back over and over and over again. Everyone does come back, but we don't only come back for the real simple reason that we don't fulfill our purpose. We do it throughout our lives, but we don't do it enough. And why don't we do it enough? Because we do walk around and go, oh, fuck people, I hate people, I'm not going to help anybody. Because that's what your purpose is. We're all here to help each other just for the sake of helping, not because you can, but because you should. But if you're not doing that because you're just avoiding the world and you're sitting in front of your computer all day playing video games and going, oh, I hate the world. People, nobody likes me. Nobody trusts me. Blah, blah, blah. Well, that's because you're not out interacting with anybody. And the only person you're interacting with is a couple of other guys who are playing video games who are across the country who aren't really interacting with you. You're just trying to shoot somebody on a screen. That's not interaction.
And
social media is not interaction.
It seems like the more that you withdraw into yourself, the more hyper-focused your emotions, mentality, and everything become as well.
You get stuck in your head.
And it's like, it seems like a lot of people are genuinely dealing with that, especially now when, after COVID and everything else, we're seeing so many people get withdrawn, so many people deal with mental illness at this point, that they're so hyper-focused on that mentality of just being stuck.
Yes. The problem with that is they are dealing with it. But the other problem is it's not genuine.
Nope.
Not by any means. You are, but again, we have you go on Facebook and somebody is on there bullying you and, you get bullied outside. People treat each other like crap. People treat each other with such a lack of respect anymore. They don't care about rules and laws and all that stuff. They hate cops. They hate all that stuff. Then they start learning to hate each other. And they get pushed around by everybody. Well, you know what? Here's the way that I explain it is, if you and I were best buddies, and in this mental health way, if you and I were best buddies, you were an alcoholic, I'd say to you, hey, Zach, you know what? I will take you to meetings. I'll take you to AA. I will keep you away from the drugs and alcohol and the bars and all that, although who doesn't like a good strip club? I get it. But I will keep you away from that stuff. But until you choose to stop drinking, no matter what I say, isn't going to make a difference. So everything in your life is your choice to do. You just have to want to choose it, but you have to want to have faith in yourself and trust in yourself to make those choices. And if you don't, because you're afraid of how the world is going to react, the world's going to react. It depends upon how you react after they react. That makes the difference.
Yeah.
They can call you pieces of shit all they want. They can call you names all they want. But they're just words. God didn't create words, man. God gave us an ability to make sound, so we created words. So you can say any word that you want to that begins with the letter F that doesn't sound like fire truck, and he doesn't give a shit, as long as you're not putting it on someone. So someone can call me asshole all day long. I don't give a shit. Go right ahead. And then when they get done, I look at them, I go, you done? Yeah. And then I turn around and walk away.
Language is language.
Because I don't have to interact with them.
Yeah, language is language. If you hyper focus on what words somebody uses to describe something or explain something, at the end of the day, you are the person that's putting more negativity or more
and
effort and energy into the world. Yeah.
Yeah, you keep it inside of you, and then whose fault is that? You can't blame somebody else because you chose to hold on to it. You walk around with depression all day long. That's on you. Because you are choosing to hold on to the depressive feelings when you could just let it go and say, I don't need it.
Like I had somebody in my my comments today on one of the videos that's growing right now. Go check that one out. He's like, you need to stop saying goddamn.
Why?
Like, it's a fucking word, bud. It's a fucking...
It isn't
don't damn the Lord. What? Honestly, if you go onto a podcast channel that says real men talk shit, and you don't understand that I'm going to say fuck, shit, and damn as much as I feel like, we have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Bible shit. You know what I call that? The Bible.
Bullshit.
Because that's what that is. That's not a Bible. Who are they to tell me how to live my life? They aren't. Especially a book that was written thousands of years ago and about 400 years after Jesus Christ died. So they got it right? Seriously? No. They got it right in one way, so they can have power and control over you, telling you how to live your life the way they want you to live it and give them 10%. And why do they want 10%? Because they don't want to get a real fucking job.
Yep.
And how did they know about 10% back then? Because the people who invented that book, who wrote that book, who wrote the scrolls, Kings and Queens. That's who wrote it. God did not write a book. And let me ask you a question. If I sat down with you for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, 20 minutes, now even an hour,
Yeah.
and then 20 years later, I wrote a book about you, do you think I gained enough knowledge to know everything about you, to define you? Well, guess what? That one didn't define God either. So let it go.
No, I got 120 stories. Just
Right.
off the top of my head that are like 15, 20 minutes long. I don't think that most people could even correlate that into something as
And
a
is
whole,
that
even
going
if
to
I told all of
define
them.
your?
Yeah.
Is that going to define your well-being of who you are and the kind of person you are, and what
Or-
you want out of life and what you want for other people?
Yeah,
No.
exactly. Like there's no level. You might be able to understand me as a person, but you might not be able to understand my perception, how I feel, or how I look at things.
Right. Absolutely, because it's all about perception. Everyone has a different perception. Everyone feels things. My mom and dad used to say, "Why can't you be like your brother?" Because I don't look at the world the same way my brother does. I worked in
Because I'm
prison
not the
for a
same
little
person.
while. Yeah, I worked in prison for a little while. And I worked in medical records. And there's this guy who was leaving. This big guy. He was a little bit slow, but nice guy. And I sat in front of him and I said, "So what are you going to do when you get out of here?" He's like, "Oh, I'm going to hang out with my friends, play some video games." I said, "You're going to get something to eat because I know the food here sucks." He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to go to Arby's, Mr. Dan. I can't wait to get there. I'm starving." I said, "Awesome." And the guard came up and said, "It's time to go." And he said, "See you later, Mr. Dan." And I told him, as I tell everybody throughout my entire life, be good and don't do any stupid shit. But if you do, don't get caught. And he gets up and walks out. He gets about 10 steps down the hallway. And then the guard jumps on top of him. They call a code. And they're hog-tying him and spraying him. And they take him down. Now, we had to close the doors at that point because that spray is called Capstone. It looks like chocolate when it hits the floor. And water activates it and makes it worse. So it permeates the room. So when everything cleared up, I went down to receiving and said, "What happened to him?" He said after he got up with you, he came down the hall with me and turned around and looked at me and said he was going to kill himself and he was taking me with him.
It's crazy.
Perception is different for everyone.
Yeah. And it's even crazier, especially now with the way that the world is and everything else, where that might not even be fully what he said. But because he's
Right.
he's the only person that heard it, he's the only person that could have been in that situation.
Right. This
One
is the only
person's
person-
word matters.
Right. This is a way that he was trying to express himself some way. We can't always understand that. We can never know what's going through anyone's mind. You just can't. Not unless they express it. And what is expressed to you and your perception might be different for his.
No, I think a lot of
Instead-
those things happen a lot of the time. There's
Yeah,
such a
maybe.
perception change in between person to person. You could sit here and have a conversation, and somebody might not even fully understand the word you're even using or how you're using them in context.
Yeah, this
there's-
guy didn't freak out at the officer. Maybe the officer should have just took him down to receiving and then called a psych professional.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have done that, but they didn't. They beat the shit out of this guy. Back, when it was okay. But is it
it's
really?
it's scary. It genuinely is. Like, it's just such a fucked up situation. So many people
Yeah,
want to
too
sit
much
here and
power.
just. Well, there's so
Too
much
much
money.
power.
There's so much.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hard part of why that entire situation is so painful for so many
Sure.
people.
Sure.
Is if
Oh,
you
no.
remove the money from it, people don't have to be there anymore. It's
Correct, yeah.
not. It should be
Correct.
paid
When
for rehabilitation. Somebody makes
There's no
it.
rehabilitation in there.
No, I
there's none.
understand. I'm just
Yeah.
like logical ADHD thought of like answering the problem is
Yeah.
if they got paid for the people being rehabilitated at a quadruple rate or something like
Right.
that. And if they were a year out of jail and they stayed out that entire year, they got an incentive
lucky.
and you got an incentive.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's no such thing as luck in this world, but they're lucky if they actually stayed out. Because what happens is I worked in the parole section, so I saw all the programs and then the way that they worked. And they would put these people eventually out on the street. They would put them in a work release program too, and a lot of times they screw up there because they got some freedom, But they go out and then they get on the street, and then what happens? They have to go to a bunch of classes that make them take. But these people are people who have been in the prison system for a long time. And they don't have jobs and they don't have cars. And if they don't show up and they're 5 minutes, 10 minutes late, they put them right back in prison.
Yep.
The thing about that is, like you said, it's money. when I left the prison system, it was probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago. They each time somebody comes in, this is all state run. The state gets $29,000 per person each time they came in, and this was in parole.
Yep.
If they left and they came back 12 hours later, they would get another $29,000. Now this houses them and keeps them their medical bills and all this. But their medical is like sometimes they get charged $2.50 to see a doctor.
Yep.
But that's all. But again, when someone who doesn't have a job, who doesn't have a car, who doesn't see the difference between wrong and right, having them to pay off fines, they don't know how to do that either. Why?
No,
Because
none of them do.
we don't teach them.
It's
we don't
sad.
teach 'em
It
anyway.
genuinely is.
It is. It is very sad.
So,
The
obviously,
way it is, though.
I know your story, so I know this is going to be a little bit long-winded. But when you became a medium, how did that genuinely happen? Because I know you've touched on it a couple times when we talked about
Sure.
it, but never really fully went into it. And I know it wasn't like a birth thing. It didn't start out just day one you saw things. It was kind of just...
I've been seeing them ever since I was 3 years old. But yeah, I remember being 3 years old. I don't remember anything before that, but my whole family saw them. It was the norm in my family because we lived in a town in New Jersey.
Salem, Massachusetts.
Not this lifetime, Zach, but previous. But been here. I've been here many times. So been there too. In the real sense of things, I know there's a lot of Facebook groups and all that stuff, and you hear about people being witches. There's no such thing as a witch. A witch was brought about by the fact that you were like me. You were able to communicate with spirit, but witches also used potions and herbs and stuff like that. They were the unconfirmed doctor. But in the Bible, it says if you communicate with spirit, you're talking to demons and devils. So they come up with this word witch. The word witch is more like a scarlet letter. Do you want to be called that? Do you think that's cool?
No.
And I'm telling you, anybody out there, anybody who says, "Oh, I'm a witch because I work with crystals and rocks and stuff like that," if you're not communicating with spirit, you are not a fucking witch. So stop calling yourself that, because
I think it's the way
you're
that
just not.
the degeneracy works in the world too. So many people want to kind of just hyper focus on being degenerate, being the outcast.
Yeah, they want to
and
be an outcast.
making it so way they aren't accepted by anyone.
Yeah,
so way
because
they can
they
bitch
can't
and
listen to
complain.
loud rock. I mean, you can listen to loud rock and roll, but everybody else does. You're allowed to smoke pot these days because everybody else does. So they got to find something else to put them on the outside of everybody's. They got to be the black sheep somehow, or they're what are they doing? The goth. Oh, they're walking around goth. They got to be a witch. No, they just dress differently than you do. That's all. But it's a bunch of bullshit. But anyway, so we grew up in this town, and it had a battlefield where the Hessians fought, and there was a hospital there. It was not too long ago, about a year ago, my sister told me that they did a huge dig out there and found all these bodies buried together. Well, yeah, they're not going to just find one body buried. It was a freaking war. So, there was a lot of spirit in that area, as they are everywhere, but a lot of these spirit from that war were in the homes around us, so all the neighbors kind of talked, and everybody was experiencing some of the same stuff. It wasn't until afterwards, when I was around 17, that my parents and I moved to Lower Delaware, and then I was the only one who was continuing to see things. Now, my sister saw a little bit, but my sister's just a very negative person, but she doesn't see what I see. So, and then it just continued on throughout my life of seeing them, but I just see them all the time. Again, like I always explain to people, it's like when we're kids and then your mom and dad feed you green beans, and then 30 years later, you love green beans. Why? Because you get used to it. I got used to it. But I was just, it got to a point throughout my 20s, 30s, 40s, right before I was turning 50, that I saw more in a 2-week period than I'd ever seen together. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff, But my wife went away on vacation for 2 weeks to see her daughter, and I saw everything you can imagine that was in a haunted house or a horror movie in my house for 2 weeks. I saw it day and night, and it was so much. It was freaking me out. My wife and I, when she came back and told me about her adventures, I told her about mine, and it even freaked her out. And she had thoughts of maybe this isn't going to work out for her as far as a relationship. This is before we were married, but after 3 days of her being home, she saw a lot of the same stuff. So we did the usual thing, we sought out, like we went on the internet and tried to get a priest to come to the house to do a exorcism. They don't do that, and it's not real anyway, because spirits cannot possess you. That's a bunch of shit. That's from movies and TV telling you that your head's not going to spin around and turn out pea soup. There's another Exorcist movie. It's just getting ready to come out. It's fake, people. It's fake. Stop listening to it.
You mean you're not going to levitate and fuck yourself with a crucifix?
No, you're not. Yeah, I love the TV show Supernatural, but about 98% of that stuff is fake, okay? Angels don't have wings, okay?
You mean you don't just change your fucking contacts in your eyes and all of a sudden you're a different person?
No, you don't. Mom and dad don't die and become angels either. That doesn't work either. That's a bunch of shit too. But yeah, so I was seeing stuff come through, like red and green mist coming through the walls and little skulls coming through with fangs and red eyes and all this stuff. But see, spirit is one thing we are not right now because we're connected to this meat suit. They are pure energy. So they can manipulate themselves to look like anything that we think of, because that's how they communicate with each other, by thought, because it's pure, because they don't have a voice box anymore. So they can read our minds as what they're doing. And when we think of a demon or a devil, they manipulate themselves to look like that, which produces fear in your heart, which scares the shit out of you, and then they feed off of that. That's why they do it. That's why the people who were at the Amityville Horror, those spirit didn't like those people and didn't like them in their house because they considered it their house. So they did whatever they had to do to get those people out, and it worked. So yeah, so I was seeing all that, and then we contacted. We had a paranormal group come to the house, and they saw so much shit in my house. By the time they got on my front lawn to leave, they broke up. They were scared. Now it wasn't bad stuff they saw, but it was so much because they told me that they don't get that kind of information from just one home. It takes 10 or 15. It scared the shit out of them. But then I sought out mediums, and then I found 5 of them. None of them knew each other, and they all told me the same story about me. And then that's when everything turned around for me. And then one of them was really took to me a little bit there and wanted to show me the ropes a little bit and told me to come to see her show, and then I did. And then she had a long talk with me and explained everything to me. And then I had to make a decision to move either forward with this or be scared of it and run away. But I chose to try to figure it out. And when I did, I had to have a sit-down talk with God. I did, and chose to move forward with it. The very next day, everything changed. And now I'm at a point now where you can ask me a question. Anybody can ask me a question. They could be over in China and ask me a question, and I'll get an answer. Because I'm just different than other mediums. I'm that kind of connected. I'm connected to what we refer to as archangels.
So when you go through and you have this kind of life-changing experience, you see all of these things, do people see you, obviously, if your wife saw things and your sister saw things still and stuff like that, are you more of essentially a conduit to where it makes more people around you available to see these things and makes the things more powerful or more visible to other people?
Yeah, since the last time we talked, I do my own podcast, but I was doing another one. It was called Dead is Not the End, and I'm sorry, it was called Dead End Stories. So people would come on, they would tell their ghost stories, or they would ask me questions. And when they would tell me ghost stories, I would decipher the story for them and tell them why everything happened. Because I gain knowledge all the time, because I have archangels talking to me all the time. not men with wings and shields and swords. Okay, they don't look like that. They don't look like, you know, standing there with a long coat on and wings sticking out. They just don't. You know, Lucifer's not the devil. No such thing. You know, so he's just an angel with a bad rap. Because in order to have control and power over you, I have to be able to punish you. That's what the Bible does, and that's what religion does. He's not a horrible angel. Okay, I see him all the time. Doesn't look like what you think. So, yeah, I've been on that show, and a flash of light went off, and the host was like, "What the hell was that?" I said, "Oh, it's just somebody crossing over." Really? Yeah, really. And then he would see something else fly around the room, a little light orb, and go into my head and gone. And he's like, "What the hell was that?" I was like, somebody crossing over again. He said, "How come that doesn't faze you?" I said, "Because when it's your total life, it doesn't faze you.
It becomes
when you
normal.
get used to it, it doesn't bother you. You see, I see things all the time. When I'm like I said, when I go to sleep at night and I turn the light out in my room because my room is blacked out, I see thousands upon thousands of people walking around. It's like going into a mall, except you see all those people there, and you don't know any of their names. You don't know who they are, but they're there. That's my life with spirit. You just get used to it. And you either do, or you let it drive you crazy, and you don't. I chose to be okay with it. But yeah, people see things around me. People wonder why every time I walk through a grocery store and their child is looking at me and going, and pointing at me. Sometimes if they ask, I explain it to them. What are they pointing at? They're pointing at all the dead people who are walking around me because they're brand new into this world because they just came from heaven and they can still see it. But eventually you're going to teach them the ways of the world and it's going to wash all that shit away. You're not a piece of shit. It's just what you know. But yeah, people see it. Dogs, I'm a frickin' Dr. Doolittle. Animals just come up to me because they sense it. They can see it. At nighttime, my wife walks into the bedroom. She doesn't need a nightlight. I physically glow. So it's part of my life. And you either get used to it or you don't. When I close my eyes at night, what's that movie? Oh, man, they just made a second one.
There's a lot of those. Everybody seems to be making sequels.
You see
just
all
hoping-
these different colors.
I'm just
I
hoping
see
Bye
a
Bye
lot.
Diapers doesn't come again. That's all.
Yeah. All the colors that are on your background. I see those colors when I close my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. And then I just see people. But I don't see people either. I just see dogs, cats, horses, cows, people, fish, other beings from other world. There's somebody walking around with horns and a tail. He's not necessarily torturing anybody. It's just that's what he looks like, where he comes from. Kind of like the Disney movie, Monsters. They look like that. A lot of them do because they come from other places. We're not the only ones, as we're finding out now with this whole UFO thing now. It's not just us, people. I'm telling you. And I see all this stuff. They just look different. They're aliens because they're alien to us. They don't look human. Some of them do, but not all of them. But yeah, I see everything. And so I get answers. And all I have to do is ask. And at the point, last time you and I were talking, I think I was getting I was getting answers. In the very beginning, I was getting like answers like 5% of the time. Now it's 85%. Now they put thought into my mind. And it's not it's as I've been told recently, it's not they're putting the thought into my mind. It's my natural thought.
It's just being clarified.
Yeah, I am that connected to them for a totally different reason because I used to be one of them. I was brought here for a different thing. That's why. They're just opening me up more to sharing the thought with me. That's all. I just know things because they're telling me, but they're not. They're just opening up the ability to know all of it. So, but sometimes I ask yes and no questions, and I get touched on my face. This is yes. Down my face feels like a tear is no. In the very beginning, I mean, last time I talked to you, I think it was like 30 angels were touching me. Now it's 46. It progresses all the time.
You were telling me a whole bunch of different names, and some I knew, some I didn't.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Helen, Lucifer, Jesus, Manos, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Menadil, Azrael, Mazakim, Michael, Paul, Jacob, Daniel, Laziel, Ezekiel, Richard, John, Nicholas, Hansel, Joshua, Jonas, Jonah, Jeremiah, Jerome, Jonathan, Ophelia, Cassidy, Arthur, Zaziel, Andreas, Thomas, William, Castiel, Gadriel, Gadriel, Zadriel, Jophel, Zedekiel, Raziel. Yeah. So when I get a different touch, I go, is that one of you guys? Yeah. What's the name? I hear a name in my head. I write it down. And now I just know all the names. Jesus, right down the middle of my forehead, touches me up. Gabriel touches me here. Uriel touches me here. I have a Raphael that touches me here, goes down the side of my face. I have another Raphael that touches me over here. Lucifer over here. So yeah, you get used to it.
When you've had these conversations with these mediums and stuff like that, trying to understand what they were giving you and is it truthful, and like trying to feel out genuinely if they were actually good intention towards you and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. How did I figure that out?
How were you able to make logic out of the people that were telling you the truth? How were you able to make logic out of people that were lying to you? And what were the genuine difference in between what they were able to see or what they were saying they were seeing and what you saw?
Well, the one who wanted me to come to her show, I said, okay. She wanted me to come to her show to see how she does it. And I was like, when she told me that, I didn't know what she understood by that until I got there. My wife and I bought tickets. I didn't tell this lady I was coming. And we opened the door and walked in. There's about 50 people standing in there, and she was standing on the stage. And she immediately locked eyes with me and followed me through the room till I sat down. And my wife looked at me like, that was creepy. I said, I don't know what's up with that. She said, did you tell her you were coming? I said, no, I just bought tickets. So that she told everybody how she does everything. She gets pictures in her mind, and they show her things that way. I don't get it that way. I actually see them, and they just talk to me. But she gets the pictures. So she read 8 people in the room. The second one was me. And she says that this way. She said, I'm going to describe some things that this spirit is showing me. And then if it resonates with anybody in the room, hold your hand up. She said, and she started off with the first one, but she said, there's this other guy who keeps walking up, who wants to get up front. And I keep telling him, you got to wait in your back, your line, your place, sir. So she does the first lady, because somebody said, oh, that's me, and then they got all this stuff. Well, this other spirit, she says, okay, I'm going to let this guy come up. So he comes up. She said, I'm getting the name Robert, but he also goes by the name of Bob. And the first lady goes, oh, I think it's me again. And she said, well, hold on. She said, he showed me he wears flannel shirts and white T-shirts, but he also wears business suits. And the lady goes, yeah, I think that's me again. She's like, hold on. She said, and he also is telling me that when he died, he fell down, and that's the cause of his death. And she said, that's not me. And I stood up and said, that's me. And she said, well, he's also showing me a school bus, some prison bars, and what looks like scrubs on with a stethoscope. I said, yes, that's me. And she said, how's that? I said, my dad's name is Robert. He also goes by the name of Bob. He wore flannel shirts and white T-shirts, but he also wore business suits because he was the vice president of a company. That's why we moved down to Delaware. My dad fell down and died from blunt force trauma. He was downstairs vacuuming because we were all going to be there, the family, for Easter. My dad had emphysema and diabetes, and he was working a little too hard, fell down, got up and tried to go up the stairs and fell down and hit his face, and it moved his brainstem and put him in the hospital. And she said, okay, then who is Sarah? And I said, Sarah, my niece. She said, no. Sarah, who had to make the big decision for your dad to pass away. And that's when I knew it was real. Because I said, my mom's middle name is Sarah. She had to make the big decision to have the plug pulled. And she did. And my dad was gone that fast. So that's when I knew that lady was telling me the truth. It was after that what she told me that was kind of crazy too, where she said, I went down there after the show and I introduced myself and I said, my name's Daniel. She said, oh, I spoke to you on the phone. I said, yeah. And then she talked to me like I was 7. She said, you need to stay after this. We need to have a talk. And I was like, oh, shit, So everybody leaves and she said, I saw you come in the room. I said, yeah, my wife and I thought that was kind of creepy, She said, well, it's because of the way that I see you. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, when spirit sees you, they see your body frame because they don't see us as whole beings. They see the light inside of us, and that's the soul. They're looking at the soul, and some lights are brighter than others. And when they see a soul that's brighter than others, they know they can communicate with it. She says, I know you see a lot of spirit. And I said, lady, you don't know. I said, it's like being in a room with 1,000 people, except nobody leaves and more just keeps coming in. She said, well, the reason they keep coming in is why? She says, it's the way that I see you. It's the way that they see you. And I said, what do you see? She said, you look like the sun. She says, I see a frame, sort of. I just see a form. Oh, I see is light. You look like a light bulb, like a beacon of light. And I was like, what's that supposed to mean? She said, well, these spirits are coming to you. You see a lot of them, but you see so many because they're coming to you. I said, why the hell would they be coming to me? She said, because they believe that you're the light into heaven. And some of them want to go home. So you're here to help them go home. I said, how the hell do I do that? I don't even know what the hell's going on. And that's when she told me you need to have a sit down and talk with God. And you either move forward with this or not. I mean, she was very blunt about everything. And I said, why do I have to sit down and talk to God? She said, because he's going to make the decision to see if you're ready or not to do it. He's going to decide it. You're going to say you're ready if you are, but he's going to figure it out if you are or not. He knows, because he knows everything. He's your father. And I was like, okay. She said, your dad, but he's your father. He's everyone's father.
So
I said, all right. So it was after that. My wife and I went home. We talked about it, but I said to my wife, and she puts everything into perspective with me, because she's got that power over me. I said to her, how do I talk to God? And she said, how do you talk to him any other time? You just do. So that's what I did. I went in a room and sat down and I talked to him kind of like this. I went, hey, God, Father, if this is what you want me to do, this is what I'll do. I don't know what I'm doing here. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
But I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll help. I'll help these spirits who keep coming around. I'll help people if you want me to do that. If that's what you want me to do, I'll do it 110%. Whatever you want, I'll do it. And then I walked out of the room and told my wife, I said, it's done. And then the very next day, everything changed for me because I was seeing crazy stuff, skeletons walking around my house and a blue cloud, then a green cloud, then a red cloud coming out of the corner of the room. Then it has blue and black stripes, green with black stripes, all this kind of crazy. I saw a little girl kneeling next to my bed with blue eyes and blonde hair and a little blue and white dress on and little white socks on. And she just looked at me and disappeared. I saw all kinds of crazy shit. After I had this talk, everything changed. All the scary stuff went away. Now, not completely. I still see very, very negative energies.
Mm-hmm.
I have found out many, many things about being an earthbound spirit. Things that other mediums don't even know. But they're just not privy to this information because they don't need to know. I'm not your genuine, your regular type of, medium who's a circus fucking sideshow. I'm here for something else. I know that spirit here, because you remain here, you will remain the age that you are when you died. And you'll stay that way forever, sort of, because forever isn't lasting very long anymore. It's coming to an end, people. Wake the fuck up. And but I also know because you stayed here, you chose to hold on to your pain, anguish, and all that stuff. Your horribleness that we learned how to have here, but you're afraid to go into that life for many reasons. But I also know when you stay here, I just found this out about a year ago, if another spirit were to walk up to you and smack you in the face or punch you in the face, you still feel it. because you chose to stay here with those types of feelings and all that mess. This is what you get. It's not punishment. It's just, you're still you, but you're in spirit, but you're still going to feel all that stuff. So, when you see the light, go the fuck home. I've seen some spirit recently, about 6 months ago. If you've ever seen a TV show where somebody gets murdered and they do an outline on the ground of a person, I saw these beings walking around who look like outlined people. No face, no features, but these little squiggly lines inside of their body, and they were blinking red. These were negative energies. When you see something red glowing, that's negative. Any other color? Positive. Shadow people, you know what they are? What color's your shadow? Black, just like they are. They don't trust you. They don't know you enough to show their real selves to you. So don't let that fear bullshit come in. But these things were walking around, and it was weird. They were walking up to other spirit, grabbing them and beating the shit out of them. And I was watching them getting their asses beat. There's nothing I can do about that. But why should I? Because they chose to be where they are. You choose to stay here. You're not asking for forgiveness to go home. You just chose to stay here because you don't want to cross over into the light for one reason or another. Maybe you think you're a piece of shit or you just don't want to go. You don't have to go, but whatever. But they were beating the shit out of these things and then dragging them somewhere. Now, they're not dragging them to hell because there's no such place as hell. There just isn't. There's no such place as, there's no demons, there's no devil, there's no purgatory, there's none of that. There's here and there. You either stay here or you go home because that's where you come from because this ain't home. But I see these things and I wrote a book about it and people go, oh, I'm so glad you don't have to do that anymore. It didn't turn off. I just understand it now. I know what's going on and why we are here. That's it. But they're still around. But it doesn't bother me because I understand it now. And I know I'm protected by archangels. So none of these things can harm me. One of those things actually come up to me and I said, you need to get out of here, man. You're not going to get anything from me because he thinks he's going to get my energy, that light energy I have. I said, you're not going to get anything. I said, and if you don't get out of here, you see these guys next to me, archangels, I will have them mojo your ass out of here. And I talked to him just like this. And he looked at me, and then he looked at his friends, and I can hear him talking. He says, we can't get anything here. Let's go. Turned around and walked away, grabbed some other ones, boom, 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 dragging them off somewhere. So, yeah, I still see it all. It doesn't go away. But when you understand it, when you understand everything and why it goes on, why it takes place, why what takes place here compared to what takes place there when you cross over. No one here is going to go, oh, I'm going to raise my vibrations and I'm going to go to a fifth dimension or sixth dimension. No, you're fucking not. You can't. You're not meant to be in that dimension. You live in this human body in this dimension. This body cannot go to another dimension, and you cannot absolutely have your soul leave your body, because if it does, your body will fucking die. That's the truth. So stop trying to do it.
I wish a few of my friends were here, because
they need to hear this.
No. One of them, he was a co-host of the show. He ended up taking DMT for a very, very long time and saw fractals and was able to see shadow people and was able to see those things. Yeah. But only when he was on DMT.
Well, that's something different. That's drug induced. That's not what I have.
No, I understand that they're not the same thing. What I was going to say is, I wonder if those
talk
things.
With somebody about that, and they said, I can see so much more when I'm doing this. I said, yeah, but that's not real. It's fake.
Is that psychosomatic where you're putting it there, as in your mind wants it to be there, therefore it's there? Or is there some correlation to what you see and what they see, and some of it is psychosomatic?
No. This, as I always explain to everybody, you can't go to school and become a psychic medium, or you can't go to school and become a medium. You can't go to school. You can't get an education and become a medium. You either have this or you don't. It comes through with your soul. You wake up in a baby body. You're going, what? And your mom and dad's going, I'm your mom and dad. And you're going, I don't know who the fuck you are, but okay. And then they raise you and teach you the ways of the world and then wash away all that truth that you had inside of you that you brought with you from heaven, because that's how you got here. Because when you get here and you wake up in a baby body, you just came from heaven, okay? And the ones who are earthbound, they can't come back here unless they go back home to heaven. And then you come back here from heaven because you didn't fulfill your purpose, your sole purpose of helping people. But some of us retain it because you're meant to retain it. As I tell everyone, some of us are just meant to be teachers. Everyone else are just meant to be students. You just are. And then we walk around the world. You have to pay bills. You have to go to class. You got to go to school. You got to go to your job. You got to do all this other shit. And you can't open yourself. I talk to people all the time who say, I want to meditate, but I just can't do it. Why not? Well, I got this to do and that to do. You can't sit down for quiet for 10 minutes? You did it in school. They made you do it there. You can't do it. Well, I got so much going on. They don't want to. They just can't do it. It's not that they can't do it. They won't do it. They won't take the time. Because with anything, you can open yourself up and you could get messages, but you have to take the time to do it. You have to learn to do it. It's not just going to come like anything. It didn't come for me automatically. I was seeing things and hearing things, but I had to learn to communicate with them. I had to learn with the archangels touching me on the face. For the longest time in my life, I thought a bug was landing on my face. They were touching me.
When you go through and you listen to some of these people that will tell you all of these oh, well, I see this person. Who is that? Do you feel like a lot of those people are just kind of feeding off of and like reaching for people's answers, and once they see a reaction, they kind of dial it in? Or is that how a lot of people go about things?
Well, a lot of people go about things. They all want. A lot of people have an interest in this.
Yeah.
Or it's something they want to have. I want this. I want. They always tell me that all the time. I wish I had your gift. No, you don't. You wish you had the cool part of my gift. You know, They want the cool part. They don't want all the other things that I see. They don't want to do all the other things that I have to do to hone this in. I get touched on my face every day, all day. It never stops. I get told things. It never stops. I don't ever not see spirit. It never stops. Now, thinking about all that, I mean, there's one that's been touching me on my leg. It's been driving me crazy. But I know what it is. I immediately, as soon as I felt it, I said, is that an archangel? I got, no. I said, it's a general spirit? Yes. Oh, he wants to cross over. Because they see the light. They don't know what it is, so they come up and touch me. Touch me, pinch me, poke me all day long. Do you want that? Does that sound like it's fucking fun?
Nope. It really fucking doesn't.
When you want to close your eyes and go to sleep, you close your eyes and see darkness and go to sleep. I close my eyes and see 1,000 faces in front of me. Do you think that's fun? How do you go to sleep with that?
No.
How do you wake up? When I close my eyes to try to take a sleep sometimes in the day, they show me messages. It's a movie playing. And you see it. You close your eyes and it's playing. It's automatically already playing. So how do you go to sleep with that? I take some medicine. I take some sleep aids to go to sleep. But it doesn't make a difference. I woke up about 8 months ago, and when I did, in my room, my whole room was lit up. When I saw that, I knew right away from the experience that was someone who had crossed over. And I looked around the room to see who was here. And I looked down on my bed, and I saw this big round ball, looked like a basketball size, of orange fur, like a cat. And it had 2 eyes, no nose, no mouth, and it was just sitting there looking around the room. And then it focused in on me, because I was focused in on it, and it was laying right here next to me in the bed. And sat there for like 5 minutes, and then it just gone. And then the room went black. What the hell was it? I have no clue. And this happens. I will go in my room, and I saw these people off in the distance. And they all came, all this like, I see them, but all of a sudden this like out of like smoke appears and this hole kind of opened up, and they walked in my room. And then they closed up, and I had 20 people standing in my room, and I'm just doing this. What is going on here? And you know what they did? They just stood there and watched. They were watching the light. Because they all know who I am. I am the light. My light's brighter than anyone's. Because I'm the light into heaven. That's why they come to me. That lady was not kidding. She just wanted to see if I should go through with this or not. When she said they think I'm the light into heaven, she wasn't kidding. I am. Your soul goes home. You, Zach, you leave your body, you go home, and then you come back into another body. Mine does not. My soul, after that body expires, jumps into the next body that's pre-planned, born. Skips a generation. Before it was in me, it was in my grandfather, my dad's father. How's that possible? Because right before I was being born, my dad said, "Hey, he's being born. You got to come to the hospital." My grandfather got ready. He died. And as soon as he died, his spirit left his body and came into mine. Here I am. And I know that.
Is that how all of those people that are born that look relatively similar to the person that died that looks almost like, what was it? There's
No.
like Enzo
No.
Ferrari that looks so similar to like a soccer player now or something like that. Like almost spitting image.
Every time you come back as this different version of you. That's all. It's the same soul just coming into a new body. Like in the same way you see somebody on a TV show for Ancestry.com. He says, "Look at this guy from 100 years ago. It looks similar to me," because it was him.
That's what I'm saying. Is it so direct where it will be the same spirit? It's just in a different family, in a different line, different time.
You're always come back in the same family circle every single time. But we're all related to each other because all souls come in the same family, the soul family. We just come here to learn things and fulfill a purpose. But yeah, you come into the same family circle every time. But sometimes you come back as a man. Sometimes you come back as a woman. And anyone who's listening, in LBGTQ plus and all that stuff. No. There are only men and women. That is it. And if you come into this body and you don't like the parts and you want to go change them because nobody did that 100 years ago, guess who's coming back again? Because you're here to learn lessons in this body. And you used your ego to change that. And you didn't learn anything. So you're coming back again. You can cry up and down and jump and down and scream and write letters all you want to. You're either a man or a woman. That's it. There are technical difficulties along the way, but as we all know that, we all have handicaps and stuff like that. But you're either a man or a woman. That's it. I don't care how many times you want to change your hair, change your clothes, change your parts. You come into this woman, you got woman parts inside of you that make you a woman. Just because you dress yourself differently does not make you a man. You can dress the part all you want. You're doing like they do on TV. You're acting. That's what you're doing. Because you want to be different. Well, you can be gay all you want to because in heaven, you're allowed to love anybody you want to. With love, there is no boundaries. You start changing parts, and then now I'm going to, there's 100 different, no, there's not. I see spirit all day long. There's men and women. And you could change your parts here from a woman to a man. When you die, your spirit will go back to being the woman it was, that it is. That's a guarantee. I don't make the rules. I just explain them. It's very simple. People screw things up because people make things complicated. That's all. Because we've been taught it's allowed to be that way.
So and obviously this goes a little bit different shade of where you were, but when you look at things, gotta bring it back within Twitch TOS.
Yeah, I get it.
When you talk to somebody and they're like, "Hey, I'm having these thoughts of where things line up and things happen," or I'm having this thought of this person, this situation, whatever, and those things line up almost perfectly to the day. Is that clairvoyance? Is that just everything is predetermined to that level? Where do those things come from? Is that just willing it to happen?
It comes from your soul. People want to call it their intuition or something like that. It's your soul. This is your soul guiding you to where you need to be. And it will give you information. And you also have what's called spirit guides. Spirit guides are also people who have crossed over into the light and come back here to guide you through your life. They connect with your soul. When you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm going to go to the mall today, that's your soul, and that is your spirit guides telling you to go to the mall. But you have everyone else telling you around you that you're not good enough to go to the mall and that you're a piece of crap and they don't want you to have any trust or faith within yourself. And then you take your ego sometimes and then you change that decision. You're changing a decision that came from a perfect place. Follow that decision. Stop trying to talk yourself out of it. So this is your soul getting in contact with you. There's another way your soul gets in contact with you. You ever get goosebumps? What do you think that is? That's not your brain. That's your soul coming through because it heard a song that it really liked. Why? Because you are sound and vibration. Your brain does nothing.
Well, I've heard these things that a lot of people are like, well, don't cut your hair. Don't do this. Don't do that. It's an extension of your nervous system, which is why you get goosebumps when there's things that... No,
look at that.
No, I'm saying like, it's a way that you're able to experience supernatural things or things that are around you that you're not able to feel and stuff like that, which is why goosebumps happen.
No. Goosebumps happen because they're soul and your soul is letting you know there's a soul. That's why it happens. It just comes through and it's connecting with you.
So
it's letting you know. When just like if you see your mom or dad and then all of a sudden, and because they're dead, all of a sudden you go, holy shit, oh my God, that is your soul letting you know this is happening. This is going on. Pay attention to it, listen to it, trust it, and follow through with it.
So when I was a teenager, I looked for things in people, like trying to find that connection with people and stuff like that. And I don't know if I was genuinely just looking for a connection, therefore I found it. Or if it was just going through and I would find that connection with everybody and then the severity of it changed.
You were trying to find people like yourself.
But people...
your soul was driving you towards that. Your soul was trying to help you to find your people, to find your tribe. And you listened to it.
It seems like those people changed and affected the way that I was supposed to go.
Why? Because, again, your soul guided you there. Had you not listened to what your inner self was telling you to do, you would have never met those people who needed to help you become a better version of you. You didn't talk yourself out of it. You were getting an answer to go, let's go find our people. And you did it. Not everybody does that. People go, I don't know if I should do that. Oh, I'm afraid. Maybe I might meet the wrong person. Or I don't know what I should do. I'm afraid of people. Oh, no. And they go cry in a fucking corner, and they never get out to where they're supposed to be doing what they need to be doing. But you learned to follow it. You listened to it. It drove you. You, at that point, just knew this is what I need to do, and you couldn't deny it.
Well, it was a really weird thing. At the time, I had like 6 females trying to get my attention at the same time. And I was close to like 3 or 4 of them, and one ended up being my wife. And then one re-popped up. I don't know how much of this I want to talk about, but one re-popped back up, and a lot of things happened.
All of it could be your life, but you chose a certain way. See, there is your regular life and your alternative life.
It is weird.
And your alternative life is you talking yourself out of everything else and following a different path, or you following what you're supposed to do and go into that.
It was just a very, very weird time to be able to watch something just go from 0 to 100 and all energy, everything just clicked.
You said the perfect word.
Energy. It's so weird to look back at it as an adult and be like, oh, well, yeah, I could understand where that would be, where I was supposed to go and what was supposed to guide me when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Did I make the wrong decision? Who the fuck knows? But when you go through that time and then you look back at it and the same thing happened with the other person too, at a more dramatic level, at a more connection, it is very weird to look back at that now as an adult and be like, wow, what the fuck? Because
we don't always stay in the same place all the time, and there's no wrong decisions, there's no right decisions, there's no wrong, right, ethic failures, or mistakes. Nothing is any of that. The world wants you to think there is, because they want you to feel like you're failing at everything, so they can help heal you, that you can heal yourself. What is the truth is what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And you may go through many, many things that don't work for you until you find out what does work for you. That's all. It's all about choices.
Well, it's just, it's so weird to actually feel that connection or that drive to somebody or that situation that
And there's
wasn't
another
there.
word for you. Everyone wants you to think it's weird. It's not weird. It's natural. But they don't want you to feel the natural stuff. So they want you to think it's weird. They want you to think it's unusual. They want you to think, how can this happen, or why is this happening? Because it's the truth. And they don't want us to know the truth. They being government, big controllers. They don't want that. They don't want you to know that you could go to a doctor for your depression, and they want you to think, go to him, and he'll give you some pills but that's just going to depress those feelings. Or he'll send you to another doctor who's going to talk you down from it. They don't want you to know that you have the power and the control over yourself to talk yourself down from it and let it go. Why do they want you to do that? So you'll continue to spend your money on stuff that you don't need to be spending it on, giving it to them.
Because it becomes a
why.
dependence and everything else.
Correct. Like we talked before, everyone, they're convincing you to be the victim. They want you to stay the victim. Victims pay into the system. People who don't need that stuff don't. Simple. They have convinced us. We relinquished the power a long time ago. We need to take it back.
Definitely. I do want to do an ad break and shout out your book. Make sure to go check out gfuel.com if you guys want some energy drinks and all of that shit. If you guys are some of those people who work your ass off, make sure to go be fueled by Gfuel. Use code RMTS at checkout for 20% off. And definitely go check out Dan's book. We're not.
Does that stuff taste good?
Yeah, there's like 40, 50 flavors.
Really?
They're fucking a great fucking company. Yeah.
Man.
They make energy formula stuff and hydration stuff, so that way it's similar to other sports drinks and stuff like that.
Yeah, you got to have hydration, especially
Yep.
down here in Arizona, man, because it's hot, and you don't even know you're sweating.
Yeah. No, it's really, really nice. A lot of them taste rather good. I end up mixing them with like seltzers and stuff like that, so that way I have the bubbles because, you know, ADHD loves bubbles.
Who doesn't like fizzy?
Yeah, exactly. Just got to make a fizzy drink. I'm good.
Yeah.
But no, they're a great fucking company to work with. I love all of the people that I worked with over there. They're absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, do what you love, man.
Well,
That's simple.
when you go from consuming 600 milligrams of caffeine to being able to have that taken care of, that's a lot of help.
Yeah. Again, they want to convince you in everything. You need this. You see the commercials on TV. You need this. You need this. You need this. Do you really?
No, you don't. You don't.
No, you don't. You know.
But so obviously, go check out Dan's book. Dan's a great fucking dude. Obviously, he's able to explain a hell of a lot of things that he won't end up being able to describe here. But go read his story. Go understand him a little bit better. Go listen to his podcast. And so when you look at things like that, where it's just guiding you and kind of pushing you towards a certain answer or a certain section of answers in your life and
You're
stuff like
using
that.
all the good words here, Zach.
I'm trying to. See, look, from the first time that you were on it to now, I am a much more eloquent and more in-depth speaker than what I was back then.
Let it go, right?
So when you go through those things and stuff like that, is there a direct path to where you are supposed to be? Or will it always cycle back to make you redo the answer if you do it incorrectly?
Well, again, like it's not about doing it incorrectly. We just choose to do things differently. That's all. Everything you do in your life is a lesson. Everything you do. If I pick up this little blue towel and I put it down, that's a lesson.
Well, yeah.
If I pick it up and drop it, it's another lesson. It's not a good one or a bad one. It's just another lesson.
Well,
but how do I learn it?
You keep cycling
That's
back
where-
through this thing of learned behavior becomes the
Yes.
thing that you need to be able to see if you need to come back or not.
Right.
So
that's
why I'm saying, like,
the learning part is the simple part, because everything you're going to do, you're going to learn all day long. You might trip and fall. How do I not trip and fall again? Yeah. How do I pick up this rag so I don't drop it? Maybe I'll grip it a little bit tighter. How do I not trip over the nail on the floor? Well, maybe I go get a hammer. Or you're one of those people who just doesn't learn very well, and you trip over the nail 4 or 5 times until you figure it out. Or you trip over everything in your life until you figure it out. That's the thing that we have to do in order to get to where we're supposed to be in our lives to fulfill the purpose. And the
So
purpose is very simple, where someone's going to come up to you and ask you, "Excuse me, sir, but I'm lost. Can you help me find my way?" You
Is
may
that-
not get to that moment in time because you're too busy trying to learn a freaking lesson that you just can't figure the fuck out.
no, that's what I'm trying to understand. Is there
Yeah.
one direct path to the answer, or is there
Oh,
always?
absolutely.
So do you always cycle back to the decision or choice that you've made incorrectly?
You may have to in another lifetime. You just didn't get through your life lessons the way you were meant to do it. Again, because you may have talked yourself
Free
out of
will,
it.
whatever.
Yeah, like I would explain that if you're driving a car and you see a car in front of you and you say, "I'm going to pass that car," and then your gut feeling says, "Don't pass the car." Your gut feeling is your intuition, that's your soul telling you, "Don't pass the car," and you say, fuck it, I'm just going to pass the car anyway," and then you get into a car accident. You could have avoided that car accident if you had listened to it. And again, so here's how you know when people don't listen to it. Because you're at the hospital talking to your buddy who just got in a car accident, and he says 3 words. 3 words. It's going to tell you this, but no one really recognizes it. He says, "Zach, you know what? I saw that car in front of me." And then he says this: "I just knew I shouldn't do that. But I
Yep.
talked myself into it." When he said, "I just knew," that means his soul told him not to do that. But again, the world convinced you that, don't worry about it. Just take some fucking chances and do this, and do that. Now you'll be okay. Get into life that you think you need to get there quicker. We got to get there sooner. Well, if you'd left 5 minutes early, you'd have been okay. But you didn't, because you're always about trying to get there quicker. And then you said, I'll pass it anyway. And then boom. And now you can't go anywhere because you broke fucking both your legs, and you have bruised ribs, and you have a fucked up spleen. It's not an accident. Spirits have slowed you to fuck down. Now learn something, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Learn to listen. It's that simple. But again, the world calls it accidents. The world calls everything a lot of things because people want to blame everything on something else. It had to be
Or
their
have an
fault that
answer
they ran
for it.
into me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're answering for everything. Again, God doesn't punish us, we punish ourselves. That's it. Because we make poor decisions. But it is one direct answer: listen, trust, and follow through. And you will be guided to where you need to be in order to get to those places that you can genuinely help someone. Now that you're in a hospital with your broken spleen and your fucked up legs, you're not helping anybody. Except nurses who are going to deal with something, but are you physically really going out there and helping anybody? No, not really. So you get to be 100 years old. Maybe you don't. Maybe you get to be 60, maybe 70. Who knows? You die, and then you go home. If you go home, if you cross over, not everybody does. And then they'll let you know how your life was and what you didn't do, what they wanted you to do. And you talked yourself out of it. You were getting answers from heaven, and you talked yourself out of heavenly places. Everybody wants a fucking connection from heaven, but only when they fucking want it. And not when they actually need it.
No, that's why I asked about the whole clairvoyance thing of being able to perceive things or know that things are happening.
Clairvoyant is being clairvoyant. You either
Yeah.
have clairvoyancy or you don't.
No,
But if your life is all fucked up, if your life is running 1,000,000 miles an hour, you have 1,000,000 miles an hour going on in your head. In order to get clear messages, you must be clear. And if you're going 1,000,000 miles an hour all the time, you're not getting clear messages.
That's why I asked. Is like,
Yeah.
obviously there is energy that pushes you towards a situation, a choice, whatever that energy is. Your spirit in that specific choice, your mind in that specific choice, depending on what your mentality is and stuff like that.
Yes.
But it seems almost as if there is something like clairvoyance or being able to perceive things, it is very weird because I don't hear a lot of people at least talking like that of, but I just felt like it's the right choice to do. A lot of people
Right.
kind of just fly by their ass and kind of just hope that
Correct.
things fall into place and stuff like that.
Correct.
Where a lot of my life, at least, and I'm trying to look at this without trying to be very me centric and kind of understand other people's perspective and stuff like that. But it's hard to.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it.
Like
Well, I get clairvoyant messages all the time, but the
Like,
messages
I've had-
I get, I don't tell people about.
a lot of
can't
those
tell
dreams
anybody about it.
are very direct. A lot of those thoughts are very direct. It's so hard to be like, well, is this a thing I do or is this a thing I don't do? Is this a situation that I put myself in?
Another good phrase you just said, very direct. They're not trying to puzzle us with puzzles and all this other stuff. They're very direct about it because they want you to get through it as quick as you can. Yeah. You're hitting it.
I don't know, man.
You're
Maybe
hitting it out
I'm
of the
just
park.
maybe I understand it to a different level than I expect. Maybe I
Well,
just I'm there.
you're putting 2 and 2 together. Most people put 2 and 2 together and get 3.
I don't understand.
Right. They don't understand either.
It's really hard to genuinely grasp when you're very, very logic minded, but things like this kind of click.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Everything in my life I look at and I'm like, well, does it fucking make sense? Not does it feel right? Does it make sense? Do these things click together? Do they move forward? Is this the right decision for me and what I need to do?
Because when we're hidden from the truth, we don't know which way is right and which way is wrong. Every time I have this kind of conversation with someone and I tell them about everything that I know, they say the same thing. Well, that makes sense.
No, I know.
How come I didn't know that before? Because you weren't taught this. We should have been taught a different way a long time ago. But in the way that they keep power and control over us, is they keep us in the dark of everything. And then we're always guessing. And when you're guessing as an individual, again, like we talked about earlier, you're stuck inside your head. You have no one else to help figure out because they don't want you to know that somebody else might be thinking the same thing you are, or maybe they have a little bit more information, but they don't want you to know if you can go contact that person. That's like the premise of my book. I put it in there to say, if you're having these types of things that I'm going on with my life and it's going on in your life, or anything in your life that you can't figure out, you go out and find your people. There's somebody else out there. If we weren't meant to be together or take care of each other, there wouldn't be 7.5 billion of us. There'd only be one. So somebody's going through what you're going through.
No, it's just, it's surreal when something that is surreal is possibly a logical answer.
Right.
And
I wrote the book because they showed me a message of me. I was meditating, and they showed me in either a movie form or a cartoon. And they showed, but I got it because it was pretty simple. They showed me a message of this guy who was sitting there with a robe on, but it looked like me, white beard and everything, writing on scrolls, on paper. And I said, oh, he's writing something. And then they showed me a piece of paper in front of my face that had my handwriting on it. And I said to them, what, do you want me to write a book? And I got, yes. And I was like, what am I going to write it about? And I heard, you're going to write it about your life story and everything that's going to happen to you and has happened to you. And then at the end, we're going to bring you some messages that we want you to write down. And those messages are at the end of my book. It's called The Basics. These are 25 messages that were brought to me from archangels, from God, for us to how we should treat each other and how everyone else should treat us. And then us to help other people implement these into their lives. When we put them into their lives, it's helping us at the same time. When I submitted the whole book to the editor, she sent those messages back and said, these don't need to be edited. How come? And I said, because it didn't come from me. It came from God. Why would they? People don't get it. So, but yeah, we get all this stuff. We could all get so much more. But our lives are too fucking busy. We're always going on vacation. We need to work, and spend, and do everything else. And I need to take my kids to soccer. And I just made a big mess in the floor, and I got to get that cleaned up. I got to get this cleaned up. I got to get that taken care of. And we put so many things on our plate. We don't have enough room to get clarity. We can all get it, but we don't want to take the time to do it because it's too hard. It's too hard to sit down and be silent for a while because the world has taught you to not be. But
I don't
you're
know.
getting it, man. You're getting it. You're picking up on the signs. You're getting messages, and you're picking up on it.
So there was a time that happened. I don't remember if it was before you came on last or after you came on last, but it was definitely around our last conversation. So I don't remember exactly if it happened before or if I talked about it. But I was walking through the hallway behind me, and I was listening to music, and I had my phone in my pocket just playing music, and a song came up about somebody being passed away. It was Visiting Hours by Ed Sheeran, some just whatever the fuck was playing on fucking shuffle.
You listen to Ed Sheeran?
Yeah, I listen to everything.
Oof, man. That's
But,
suicidal right there.
Hey, I've been suicidal since I was 4.
Yeah, oh.
I got past that.
That's making it worse, brother.
But so I walk literally probably about like 1.5 feet, 2 feet to my room. There's just a space in between me and the door, and I literally feel a full hand on the back of my neck. I could feel all fingers individually and everything else, and literally my entire body just went numb, just pulsed completely numb. And then all of a sudden I felt like everything was okay. It just took away like every fucking worry. I have a genuine idea, but that's...
I can tell you because I know who it is.
Who is it?
It's Jesus Christ. I asked, and I got touched on my face. And when I get that touch, I know who it is.
It's just, it's, those things are so surreal. It just literally, everything's falling apart. Everything's going to hell.
And you needed to be shown
and I'm
that
here.
It wasn't. Yeah.
I'm still here.
You needed to be released of that at that moment to know that it can be released. You just have to go around it a different way.
Well, that situation was the most surreal thing I've ever felt. It was
gave
like
you hope.
Not even hope that everything could be okay. It just like if stress is a blanket and it was on my shoulders, it was removed within seconds.
It was no longer on there.
Yeah. Like that hand lifted it and it didn't even move. Like there was just nothing there anymore, and there was nothing that I could do, articulate that properly other than that way that I just said it, or anything. Like, and that's the most surreal thing that I've ever felt in my life.
Because stress is that thing. Everything here is a construct created for us in order to learn from, and you let it overwhelm you. But it happens to a lot of people, and he just wanted to let you know doesn't need to be this way. But what he's also letting you know is it's this way because you allow it to be this way. Stop allowing it.
It's just, that was one of the craziest situations I've ever felt.
Yeah,
Probably the most genuine things I've ever felt. But
well, it's from Jesus. Come on. Son of God. But you know who else the Son of God is? You are. We all are. We are all his children. He'd like us to figure that out. There's a term that says, God bless you. He did. He put us here. He wants us to figure out the rest. Praying for something and asking for more than you're supposed to have doesn't work. If that was the truth, then both football teams would win.
every game would be a tie.
Correct. There's no easy button. There's no easy button from Staples. Life is not meant to be easy. If it was meant to be easy, what would be the point of living? If you were given everything in your lifetime, you wouldn't appreciate the things that you do have. Praying is not for asking for more than you're supposed to have. Praying is for giving thanks for what you do have. But ask him to help you. Ask them to help you, and they will. You needed help. He gave it to you. Now what are you going to do with it? Didn't it feel good?
Yeah.
Maybe you should learn to make that feel good all the time.
Oh, I have. That's the thing is like I've gone
You're
to
getting shit straightened out, aren't you?
I've gotten to the point where everything's calm. And I allow it to be calm. And it's okay to be calm.
Correct. Correct. Someone can. I had a woman. I was doing readings at the mall, this big event, and this woman come up to me, Amish woman. She was selling bread, like 2 stands down. She comes up. She says, "Do you talk to spirit?" I said, "Yes." She said, "So you're communicating with spirit?" I said, "Yes, I am." And then she stood in the middle of the mall, about 100 people standing there, and she said, "You're speaking to the devil!" And started shouting all the shit. And I said in this voice, "No, I am not. I am not talking to the devil, because there's no such thing as a devil. There's no such thing as Satan. There's no such thing as demons. There's no such thing as purgatory. There is heaven. There is God. There is Jesus. But no one's walking around with horns and a tail torturing anybody, because if they do have that, that's what they look like, where they come from." I said, "But you either stay here as an earthbound spirit, or you go home into heaven. God does not judge us. We judge ourselves 1,000 times a day. Why does he need to do it once more? You don't have to ask for forgiveness. You just go home. Or you damn, and you stay here as an earthbound spirit." As I'm doing this, she stopped her yelling and just looked at me, and her face got redder and redder and angrier, until she eventually figured out that I don't have to take her shit. And I didn't. And I don't have to get angry over her anger. And I didn't. And I wasn't going to. And she stomped her feet and walked away. And everyone else was just standing there looking at her like, "What are you doing?" You don't have to do any of that stuff. Someone can scream and yell at you all day long. So what? Walk away. My boss would scream and yell at me. I'd walk away. "Where are you going?" "I'm not a dog. Have a great day." When you want to talk to me like a human being, because screaming and yelling at me or honking your horn at me isn't going to make me go faster.
It's not going to make you change anything.
Yeah, it doesn't. But again, the power and control, I need to have power over you, and you're going to do what I tell you to do, is everywhere. I mean, religion started with it, you know. And then kings and queens were doing it. Now presidents and governments do it, and big corporation does it. Yeah. You could not pay attention to them. I don't.
No, there's zero reason to.
Yeah. I don't watch the news, man. I haven't watched the news in 5 years, because they tell everything you don't want to hear, because they want you to believe it. They don't know what's going on in Ukraine. They don't send anybody over there because they're afraid to get their ass shot off. But they want you to believe they know everything, and they just create a bunch of shit and tell you what's going on, and then everybody believes it, and they start putting Ukrainian flags on their fucking Facebook page. The president of Ukraine is no different than Adolf Hitler. People don't know that, but he isn't. Do you want to support that guy? I don't. You know, we could treat each other with respect. We could be kind to each other. We could share everything in the world, because there's enough of everything in this world to share. We don't have to live under the rule and power and law. We don't have to. We could take care of each other. If we started doing that, we wouldn't have all this crime and killing each other and all that stuff if we were all treated equal. Because we are equal. We all came into this world the same way. We're all going out the same way. So what's the difference? Nothing. I don't care what color your skin is. Nothing. We're all human. We all live on the same planet. No one's going anywhere anytime soon. We better start to get along with each other before we do annihilate each other, because that's where we're headed.
It seems like it's almost as bad as it was in like 2001, 2002 with,
yes,
things are bad again.
They push war. They push it on us. They want us to hate each other. They want us to disrespect each other.
And you see it with everybody just, nuclear weapons are an option. Why the fuck? Yeah. Why the fuck is that an answer?
Yeah.
Like
nowadays, the new answer is tactical nuclear weapons are okay. They're okay. The big ones, not so much, but these little ones, they're okay. They only destroy 100,000 people, not 1 million people. Killing is killing.
10 miles compared to 30 miles. What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Right, we're only going to annihilate 10 miles of people, you know. How many people do you know in where you live is in 10-mile area? And that, not just people, but everything that's there. It's going to destroy everything
It's a circle.
and then seep
Yep.
out. Yeah.
It's fucking stupid, man.
But it's okay, man. It's okay. Because
Yeah,
you know
just
why,
like they were
Zach?
fucking around with Chernobyl and driving it all over the fucking place.
You know why? Because it's good for the economy. That's what they tell you. They created the economy, so they would know.
So, I will. I'll let you go one of two ways. I'll ask you which one you want to do, and we can.
I'm
move
going
on
one
from
way.
there.
I'm going to die.
Hey, we're all getting a little closer to that. It's
yeah, nobody
fucking-
gets out of this life alive.
These dipshits are on the
Yeah.
button. So actually, one of three ways you can talk about meeting Biden.
Because who doesn't like a three-way?
Yeah. Hey, there's very, very beneficial three ways, and there's very negative ones. Some of those I
Yeah,
don't want to be
yeah,
a part
man.
of at all. But
Love has no boundaries except unless you're doing a four-way. But that's different. I've already met Biden, so
we could do a reading, or I could tell a story.
anything you want.
I'm asking
It's
you.
up to you.
Up to
This
you,
is your
man.
show.
Up to
If you
you.
want to
I don't
ask me
care.
some, you want to ask me some questions. I mean, I'll screw one of them up for you already. I already
ahead.
met Biden when I was in
Yep.
my 30s. He came to where I worked, and he let everybody ask questions. And I asked him about insurance and all the car insurance and all that stuff. And this was his answer. You ready? He said, "One moment," and he turned around and looked to his assistant, this really good-looking girl, of course, and asked her, and she started talking, and I was standing right next to her, and then he turned around to me and he said, "Well, the answer is," and I said, "I heard it from her. Have a great day," and I walked away, literally walked away,
She said, "Sir,
because he knows nothing.
my insurance has gone up 6 times in the past month because I've gotten in 6 car accidents. I don't think insurance is ever going down."
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. This is the game.
Oh,
they want
that's
us
not
to
the
think.
joke I was
Yeah.
making, but yeah.
But yeah, I get it. She was great looking, man. Whew, man, but I heard everything she said. He had no answer. He doesn't.
No, I don't think a lot of them do. A lot of them are
No.
so either hyper focused on one thing that they care about, where they're so generalized and just a figurehead for whatever the hell they want
Correct,
to push.
and it's the one thing that they care about, not
Yeah.
not the state they come from. They care about.
Yep.
They do backdoor deals because they would make $100,000, but they come out millionaires.
Oh, absolutely. You see that with Clinton.
Yeah.
No, it's
At least
super
At
interesting.
least Clinton got a little piece of ass inside in the
Hey,
White House. And it
He
wasn't
even
his
got to
fault.
smoke on a pussy cigar, man. Like, that's exactly what I want.
Man, yeah, I don't smoke cigarettes, but fuck, I'll
Never
give that a
smoked
shot.
before in my life.
Because I'm a man.
Sublingual pussy juice, but
Yeah, yeah.
so where do you think I need to be?
You're getting it already. You have gotten yourself into the state where you need to be, the state of calmness. That's where you need to be. And what do you do when you get in that state? You get things done. You don't fuck around. You don't put up with bullshit. You don't listen to a bunch of shit that you know is not true. And you do your homework before you walk into a situation. That's where everyone needs to be. But getting to that state of calmness is the hard part. But you're there. And what's driving you there is your soul. This is where your soul has been driving you to get since you woke up into this world. Now, it does take time, but you got there. Now what you need to do is stay there. Even if something crazy happens, you just go, okay, now what do I do? Because as I tell everybody, it's not good news or bad news. It's just news. It just depends upon what you do after it. If you want to sit around with your thumb up your ass all day long and do nothing, well, expect nothing.
You're not using
if you
that to
wanna
any
be-
advantage.
If you want to be proactive and take care of it, you could get cancer and you could figure out a way to hopefully get through that. I mean, I hate to put it this way, but I will. For all those cancer survivors out there, I'm sorry, but no one survives cancer. You just continue living in this body until it's time to not. That's it. but you go through things. Your soul is learning these things. Your soul is learning to have cancer and what it's like to go through it. But
it seems like
yeah.
almost when we didn't know it was there, we lived better.
Correct. You know what you were? You were a dog and a cat. You woke up and you just lived your life.
And it's like that. It's like that. That ignorance to the problem or the ignorance to the situation made the problem non-existent almost.
Right.
Which is why you still. Which is why you
doesn't walk around asking when it's going to die, does it? No.
Which is why you still see the fucking no cancer, no diabetes, none of that shit within indigenous tribes and stuff like that. As a whole, it's really, really interesting to kind of look at those things and how they correlate. Well, there's no death to these things, so they don't exist.
Right. Right. Well, those indigenous tribes also don't have whatchamacallits and Twix bars either.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have all these drugs that are pushed on them all the time.
There's definitely diet differences. There's definitely natural differences as well.
They see life as it's just life, and we have some challenges in front of us. We have to have shelter. We got to have food. We got to figure these things out. So they just do. That's it. We could do the same thing. But when you're paying attention to the world news and society and everyone telling you need to be this big around or this big around, you need to wear this type of shoe and this type of hat and these types of clothes, you need everything that they're pushing on you. You can eat eggs today, but you can't eat eggs tomorrow. When you listen to all of that, that's what makes us different from those indigenous people. They just live their life until it comes to an end. That's it. We don't. We are constantly worried about our deaths. We are constantly living in fear. We are constantly worrying about, am I going to be able to pay this bill or pay that bill? Am I going to be able to have a car? We are constantly afraid we're going to do something wrong and go to prison for it. Because of all of it, we're being told all this. They washed our brains. You woke up in that baby body, you saw all this truth, and you looked at the world like everything was Disneyland, and then they threw a bucket of bleach on top of you and washed it all away. And then they taught you all the bullshit. And you believed it.
There was this Facebook short that was the most genuine and heartbreaking thing that I've seen in a very, very long time. It was a son talking to his dad. He walks up to his son. Can you tell me the meaning of life? Can you tell me what it is to be happy? The son says, you know what, Dad? I'll tell you on my 4th birthday. And his birthday was like a week away. So he's like, every day he just asked him, just touched a little bit. And they're riding down this hill on a skateboard, and he goes back. He said, Dad, today's my 4th birthday. He's like, son, you told me you were going to tell me something today. What is the meaning of life and what is happiness? He said, Dad, I woke up this morning and I absolutely forgot. I'm just happy I have you. And I was like, fuck. Because at the same time, that kid, just like my kids, just like every other kid, is so observant to what they can see and what they can do and everything else. Sure. They're the most genuine people in the room. They're going to be able to see things at a different light than you are. But
they see everything that I do. Children do, because they're pure of heart.
But they don't.
They know no boundaries.
At some point, that all goes away.
It does.
That purity, that availability, the whole what is life and what is happiness, all of those thoughts disappear.
Yeah. It's different for every kid because every kid's in a different situation. But yeah, when I see videos on YouTube of a woman standing there and her little kid yelling at her going, "Shut up, you fucking bitch," stuff like that, that's when it went away.
Yep.
But how did they get that way? They were taught that way.
They watched it.
Yeah, they saw it, they heard it, they've seen it, they've been around it, they felt it, because they do feel things. They're little computers, and we're filling their brains full of bullshit. And so it is different for everybody. I even went through that stuff too. I mean, I wasn't this purity thing my entire life, but I did just witness a lot of things all the time. The spirit around me all the time. I didn't know why they were with me either. I just couldn't put two and two together. It wasn't until I was right before I turned 50 when this all really came on, and then I decided to move forward with it. But I'm not that person anymore. I'm this now. But yeah, we all go through it, but it's about navigating through your life. And what works for you, accepting what is good for you, or accepting what you think is bad for you, and you just accept it. People, you're going to be an alcoholic, and then because your mom and dad was an alcoholic, so I guess I got to be one too. No, you don't. Choose not to. It's about making a choice. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
I'm prone to
but,
do this.
But that little kid, and he got it right, man. And his dad probably went, "Holy shit," like you went, "Holy
Yeah.
fuck."
No, being a parent, looking at
How
those
can you do
things, it's sad. It's sad because you're like, oh, they obviously, you have to make it through those first 3-4 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
you rely on mom and dad for everything, but something taught you to rely on mom and dad for everything.
Right.
You don't just come out and have no thoughts. You just
Right.
you can't say them. You can't portray them to anybody. You can't give those
communicate them.
reasons.
You have
Yeah.
to learn how to speak, right?
It's crazy. And
Yeah.
trying to understand what you're like, the amount of memories that I have from when I was 1, 2, and 3 years old, I've been told are crazy. It's unbelievable that I remember
Sure.
cars and houses and full entire days. Why do I don't, you know how many people
Why?
remember
Because-
when they're 2, 3, and 4 years old? Fucking nobody.
Because you were clear. Some of that clearness comes through. It stays with you, just like in the way that trauma stays with us. Certain things. But the older we get, it does get harder. But even older people I know still remember things. When my mom, right even before she passed away in her late 80s, would tell me about how her and my mom and dad met and things that she
Walking
used to
up
do when she was
hill
12
both
and
ways
14.
to school in
Yeah,
snow.
yeah. Somebody posted a picture the other day of some people walking up a snowy mountain. This is a very crazy thing here. We actually found a picture of my mom and dad walking to school. A rare thing, But yeah, it's the other bullshit.
Yeah, it's all the dumb little details that are like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck, the heartwarming shit.
So imagine living your life just thinking about the heartwarming stuff and not letting everything else into your life.
No, and that's what I've been trying to get to. Whether
Yeah.
you're perfectly there or not. But you get there at some point and some level, and everything kind of gets to be okay. Everything
Yes.
kind of gets to be accepted. Everything kind of
Yes.
moves forward in the
Yes.
way that it needs to.
Yeah,
and it's
you're
just-
you're on the path of doing that right now. You'll get there. You're not completely there, but you'll get there because you took the time to try. That's it. And all you got to do is try. But if you say you can't, it's not that you can't. It's that you won't.
It's just, it's a weird fucking path, man. It really
You're not
is.
used to it. You're
No.
used to all the other bullshit. You're not used to the clarity. You're not used to having clear
No,
thought.
like if you had this conversation with Zach from 10 years ago, I'm clouded. I'm angry.
Yeah.
Nothing goes my way. And each day,
you
more
had
and more
rules
things
and
click.
regulations on you. Yeah.
More things.
You were not allowed to be the person you were.
And it's just such a weird level of understanding and expectation that you have, not only on yourself, but on the world, that just changes and shifts the way that you look at things, and changes and shifts the way that you're going to be in that realm almost.
Do you ever remember the term, you probably remember this, I'm sure a little bit there, younger, if you were just sitting there in class and everybody else was doing class stuff and you're just looking outside, you were called a dreamer.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka we called each other dreamers of dreams,
Yeah.
What
Never
do they
heard that,
call it
but
now? what do they call it now? They call you ADHD. Why? Because now they can bill it to an insurance company. It makes money. Everything's about that. Everything's about you putting into the system and them making money off of it.
It almost seems like, and this is self-serving, and I'm trying not to make it that way. It seems like those people that are introspective and able to do those things, the dreamers, the people that are now labeled as ADHD and unable to sit still and unable to not be the smart ass that knows everything and kind of pushes people the wrong way. Those are the people that are the non-NPCs, the people that are just there. There is such a difference in between those two people. Like, I don't get along with people that aren't very, very similar to me.
Right. Find the people.
Well, it's such a surreal difference. Like, they are either black or they are white. There is no in between. There is no gray there.
Right. Right.
It's either you understand and you get who I am and how I think, or you don't. You understand how I perceive things and how I understand things, or you don't. I can't explain the way my mind works, how I learn things or anything like that to somebody who doesn't get it. They just don't get it.
It just does. You just do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have the same issue right now with other mediums because they don't get what I get. They don't. I have so many other medium friends I know who don't see spirit like I do. They just don't. When I see colors, I close my eyes. The movie Avatar, that's how I see things at nighttime. That's what I see. None of them see that. None of them.
Do you look at them?
Explain that to them, they can't understand it.
Do you look at them with logic and expect them to be lying, or do you always expect them to be honest and forthcoming?
Well, I have a difficulty with that. See, I get touched on my face for yes and no answers.
Yeah.
And if they're lying to me, I get touched on my face for no.
Well, yeah, obviously.
That doesn't turn off. I can't.
Even
the same way for you, how you get your thought doesn't turn off. It's just who you are now. This is who I am now.
Even if you're given the answer.
What's that?
Like, I understand that you might be getting the answer afterwards. I'm trying to distance the separation. That might be your answer.
I get the answer during. I get it as they are about to say something to me because they are thinking it. I get the answer.
I'm trying to separate it so that way other people can understand that might not fully believe or understand. So I'm trying to separate the situation of like, okay, well, if this person is lying to you and you're able to see these things and they don't, and you're being honest, and out of all of the conversations I've had with you, I can take you as a genuine person that wouldn't lie in this situation.
No, I can't lie about anything.
No, you're one of the most truthful and understanding people that I've had conversations with. I could understand where other people would use the logic and stuff like that and question it. So trying to work back from that and trying to show logic in the answer of, if somebody lies to you in this situation, do you still have that negative aspect? Do you still have that negative feeling? Even before you know the answer or the conversation, do you feel uneasy towards that person because they are shrouded in some sort of like almost stench of somebody who's just a pretender?
No. Because I know that they were taught to be that way. I know it's not their fault. I don't blame anybody for who they are.
No, not necessarily a blame, but like, is it available or known before they say or no?
It's available to me.
That's what I was saying. Is like, a lot of people will be like, well, your positive energy is just there. You light up a room. You're the spark of the party. You're the spark of the life. Whatever.
Right. Yeah.
I was just wondering if that was available and seen in the same way.
I don't even have to walk in the room and I know I can feel there's a piece of shit in there.
You're a fucking liar. Like, you're fucking lying about the shit that you do. You're just trying to feed off of the stories and everything else that everybody gives or whatever.
I'll give you an example. So I used to do a live show. I haven't done it in a while, and I let people come in and ask questions for free. And I had a woman come in and ask me, she said, I'd like to talk to my brother who passed away. And as soon as she said that, I got no. And then she went on, He's been gone for a while, blah, 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 blah. And I said, wait. And she said, what? I said, I can't answer that for you. And she said, I knew it. You're not real. You're fake and all this stuff. And I said, no, that's not why I can't answer the question for you. And she said, why? I said, because you didn't tell the truth. Your brother's not dead. And then she went silent. And I said, correct? You don't have to answer yes or no, just answer, is your brother dead? He's not dead, correct? And she said, correct. I said, so you were trying to trick me because you wanted to prove to everyone else that I'm not the truth. I'm not real. And for that.
No, and I think
and
that's
so when she
so
said
many
that,
people
I told her,
struggle
I
with.
said, yeah, you're not telling the truth. And I said, and then I started telling her other things. And I said, you know what the funny part is? And she said, what? I said, you don't even realize it right now. I'm reading you right now. How would I know that? How would I know you weren't telling the truth?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I don't. I said, good. Now get the fuck out of my room.
No, I think that's why it's so interesting, and I like having conversations with you. Is I'll question you or ask you a question or whatever, and I give you no fucking context to who the fuck is here, not here, whatever. Bring out whatever the fuck you're gonna bring out, because if I give you context, I'm gonna feel you're lying. You can bring out whatever you're gonna bring out, and let's find the
didn't
answer.
I bring out something for you one time on your show,
Yes.
and I talked to you about some soldier who was there, and you said,
Yep.
oh yeah,
Yep.
How would I out of the million positions that anybody
that is
could
my
be
point.
in, how would I know that there was a soldier there?
No, that's my point.
Right.
Is like that is so much more believable than me being like, let me talk to my brother who passed away when I was 4 and
Right.
never was. That's not attainable. That's not logical.
Right.
Like
That's what people want to hear.
like
But I always tell people I don't give them the reading they want. I always give them the reading that
don't
they
let me
need.
feed you what I want you to tell me.
Right.
You tell me what you want to tell me, because if I feed you the answer, you're just going to just regurgitate what the hell I said to you.
Correct.
It just
And
becomes a
so-
fucking cycle.
Yeah, that's what I don't do. So when I just did some readings a couple of weeks ago at a place, and everybody. So what I just have them do is I tell them, no, I can only tell the truth one way. I can't tell 50 ways until one way suits you. So if you ask me a question and I know and you don't like the fucking answer, you try to ask it a different way, you're not going to get a different answer. You're going to get the same answer. I go through all this stuff, and then I always do this. Okay, now let me hold one of your hands. Why? Well, I want to see who's here with you. Oh, okay. Maybe my brother or something like that. I said, I'm just going to see what I'm going to see. And I'm not going to know until I see
Don't tell me
around.
who it is. Don't
Right.
give me the
I said-
answer.
So just hold my hand, and then they hold my hand. I said, no, hold my hand like you fucking mean it. So they hold on to it. And then this one lady, she said, oh. And I said, okay. And then a lot of times I see spirit animals, and I saw this horse in front of her. But behind that horse was another horse with its head looking below that horse's neck, looking below it like this, hiding behind the other horse. And I said, okay, all right. And so what the horse was doing, spirit animal, was showing me what was going on with this woman's life. And then I told her to her. And I said, well, you got 2 horses in front of you. They're your spirit animals. And I say it in this kind of voice. But the big horse is standing directly in front of you. It's a big one. But then it's that little one behind it. It's strange, but we'll get to the big one first. I said the big one's standing in front of you, directly in front of you, because you put a wall up in front of yourself because you don't trust people, and you're afraid in this world. And because you don't trust people, you put this wall up in front of yourself, and that's why the horse is standing still. But it's the little one. The little one that's hiding behind that other horse. Now, I'm doing this with my eyes closed. And I said the little one is hiding behind the horse, meaning you're afraid of the world. You don't come out of the world. You stay in your house all the time. You don't come out. You're afraid of society, and you hide everything about yourself from the world. And then when I opened my eyes, I had to give her a box of fucking tissues because she's bawling her eyes out. And she said, how would you know that? I said, I don't. They just showed it to me. But that's what's going on, correct? And she said, yeah. And she just, literally crying like I'd never seen somebody cry before. And everybody,
That was weird.
it actually caused a crowd around her because everybody wanted to know
Really
why she was
fucking weird.
crying so hard. I
So,
can't make this shit up.
as you said a horse, I'm gonna explain to you what my mind went to, because it doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. But
Sure.
no, like, if this shit is real, and don't take that as I'm being a dickhead. Take it as I'm putting on a show too. I'm just.
I don't think
giving
of that way because I think you're a dickhead.
Hey, you could think I'm a dickhead elsewhere. It's okay. But
Yeah.
so as you said, a horse. I don't know if this was imagined or put there or whatever.
Sure.
A horse standing broadside, probably about like 6 foot tall, completely black with a blue shroud around it. That could be because of how you explain things. That could be else. I'm just kind of putting two together. You explain this. Second horse, even before you said this, saw a second horse. Well, saw the legs originally, and then this, I would assume, probably slightly smaller horse came down and like protected the front one's neck. You know how like some animals like hiding, but also protecting the thing that you care. Like you would do for a significant other. If you're in a fight or something, you would protect their neck to make sure that they're okay, but still holding the thing back from harm, essentially. And then you said it and it clicked and went away.
The horse being something very powerful, about a 6 foot tall horse, the back being 6 foot tall, very powerful, very, very strong, standing there. And if you ran up and ran right into that horse, what would you do? You'd bounce off.
Yep.
So in other words, she didn't trust people, and she had a hard time with people allowing them to come into her life because they couldn't get past the horse. She put that up there.
Is that my logic?
Her being that.
Expecting what you were going to say. Or is that being told, hey, this is the answer. It's available. Just say it. Like,
yes.
I don't understand what the fuck just, like, and that was my genuine reaction of like, wait, what the.
But why is that happening for you?
I don't understand. I am just
because you cleared yourself out. Because
I'm being genuine. Like, I don't understand.
You took the trash out and you let it be. And when you became clear, when you became calm, as I'm always told, in order to get clear messages, you must be clear. So you have now opened yourself up and allowed things to come through. And the more that you do that, the more messages you will get, as anyone could. I was just born this way.
It didn't make any sense why that would come to me, why that would be the answer, why it lined up almost perfectly.
You're questioning why did I just get that?
No, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. No logic. Fucking nothing.
So when I see that, when I see that horse there and then seeing the other one hide behind it, that's her hiding from the world.
Yeah.
It shows me what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But then archangels tell me what it's doing.
Oh, absolutely.
They tell me that she's hiding from the world. She doesn't have trust for anybody.
And
so that's the difference. So
the more connective
thing, but I'm getting all the information.
Yeah, absolutely. The more connective thing that might be to the listeners or the viewers or whatever would be, when did this happen? This conversation.
Oh, with this woman?
Yeah.
3 weeks ago.
When was the last time we talked?
It's been a year. It's been longer than that. I've been here 18 months, so it's been about that.
Yeah.
I think we talked one time.
Like right around the time when you first moved.
We talked one time because you said the network is dissolving. I said, yeah, I'm not doing anything with it either.
Yeah. No,
That's how we met.
I wanted that kind of understanding to be there. That was
you wanted that clarity.
Yeah. And the questioning and the availability of somebody to be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it doesn't fucking make sense to me either.
You're not the person I knew when I first met you. I can attest to that. You are a very intelligent person, but you had a lot going on.
Oh, absolutely.
Now you still have a lot going on, but you're calm and you're taking care of it. There's a difference. Not everybody can do that. They're always just running around a million miles an hour because they think that's the way life is. But when you're taught that's the way life is, then you're going to believe it. No. You chose differently.
Well, now that I'm probably going to have nightmares for the rest of the week, we're going to end the show.
Well, if I'm going to be your nightmare, I'm cool with it. Because I know
See you
what?
fucking
You'll
later,
be
boys.
dreaming about me, baby.
Check out Dan's book. Go check out Gfuel. Use code RMTS at checkout. We'll see you fucking later, boys.